Hey guys, welcome back to another Hunting with a Passion podcast. We're doing part two with Warb from the Hunting Public, so we're going to dive right back in. So I hope you enjoy.
Something like you just talk about moving and go to them certain spots a few times, of how you have the advantage then. You've not been any kind of human scent, nothing. Boom, he's in his routine. You catch him a little bit off guard, but I think that's what's kind of the problem with like my family farm. We just planted some beans and some wheat and stuff because our corn crop, we had a drought, didn't grow. Um, but I think our deer bed a little too far because most of the time, like we get bucks during the summertime. I've got several nice deer, really nice 10-pointer on camera, but he's all nighttime, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, early. I get a few evening pics of him, but we say I don't know. I feel like our deer come probably from a long ways, because our farm is mainly just fields. We got a little bit of woods, 20, 30 acres of woods, maybe something like that, which is enough to kill them. And I've killed some nice deer, but I feel like they're coming a long ways because there's hundreds of acres in behind our farm. You go back in a mile, then you get into Mark Twain National Forest, and then there's a bunch back in there. So I feel like they're hiding in the thicket somewhere, and they're coming a long way to before they get to our food plots or before they get to our woods. So it makes it a little difficult, but it's still, we got more food on our farm than we ever have. So we're trying to build that and try to get it to leaving some spots of our farm alone, let them grow up, trying to make some bedding on our property.
Give
Give
them a
them a
reason to
reason
come
to
and stay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, man.
hoping that works. Figure that out.
Yep. That's all you can do. Just keep chipping away at the block each year. Try to learn a little bit of something every single year and just get better and better and better over time.
Yeah. For sure. We're excited. Each year we get pumped. We're excited about it.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome.
So, I've never hunted out of season before, and so this is our first year. Me and Jeremiah and a couple other guys, we're gonna go and do like a deer camp up in Indiana, up at Hoosier National Forest. So I was wondering if you had we're going in. I did some scouting back in May just to kind of get a feel because I've never been to the national forest there in Hoosier. And so I just try to get a lay of the land and stuff like that. But obviously, you can't really predict on what they're doing in May and what they're going to be like from May to November is going to be totally different. And I know you guys go into like a lot of states, like you're there for like 4 or 5 days, and like you really don't have that much time to scout, but you're doing a lot of scouting while you're hunting at the same time. Um, what's some advice that you could probably give to me or someone else that they're going to a state they've never been before, and it's going to be during the firearm season, so it's during the opener, so it's going to be crowded in the forest. I know a lot of people have told me that. Are they like, hey, one of my buddies, he's like, hey, he's like, he hunts Indiana like every year, and he's like, you need the opening day, you probably want to be on the ground more than you want to be in a tree. So, because people are going to be moving and shifting and all that. But what's some advice that you could give to someone like that?
I will be safe, number one, because there's gonna be some lead slinging. Uh it'll be really busy. And I think that's a rifle season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely be safe. Uh talk to other hunters at the parking lots and on the roads. If you're going into an area, especially during the firearm season, I would want to know where everybody is planning to go. So I wouldn't be secretive about it or anything. I would talk to people there and be like, hey, do you have a stand that you're wanting to go hunt today? Or are you planning to go into this area, this block, whatever, so that you can, obviously you don't want to hunt right on top where somebody else is at.
Right.
But you also, from the safety perspective, you want to know where everybody else is at it too, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Outside of that, from the tactical standpoint of hunting, I would just be ready to move a lot based off of pressure, because there's going to be a lot of it. And if you find little pockets, that first day deer will be acting natural. They'll be doing their thing, but they'll be responding to pressure all day long. By that night and by the following day, they're starting to get holed up into areas that are secure, where they're not getting shot at. And if you can find those areas, you'll be in piles of deer. They're just difficult to find. You have to look and look and look, and sometimes we don't find them. But boy, when we do, it's like, holy crap, all the deer in this whole area are right here because there ain't been no hunters here. Everybody has pushed them. So we're more just sort of anticipating and reacting to the pressure as it happens, which is exactly what the deer are doing.
Okay.
And they're using strategic escape routes to get in and out of there without dying. And the more you think about, like, how would a deer get out of this particular situation without getting shot, the more success I think you'll have.
Have you found it to where, is it better to go? It's a big debate here. I know it's kind of preference a little bit, but have you guys found it better to go further into a conservation area, or have you found it sometimes to honestly hunt closer to the parking lot, depending on like that deer pressure? If the deer figure out, hey, everybody's going deep. I know I've heard guys, walk back from the parking lot and there's a deer or turkey standing right in the parking lot or this or that. So what have you guys found out on that?
Hey, Aaron,
Is there a better preference, if you will?
You're good now.
I would stick more to just worrying about where the pressure's at, whether that's like, because if you get there and you don't analyze where the pressure's at and you just go deep right off the bat, you might just run into a bunch of pressure back there, and then you've wasted a lot of time. Then you're frustrated. You're 2 miles back there, and there's 3 other hunters around, and you're like, dadgummit. And then you're hiking all the way back out, and there goes half a day,
Yeah.
Whereas if you let everybody else kind of get in the woods and go to their spots and do their thing, and you look around at what you got, like, that's what I would do. Is if I was going into a new area that I hadn't scouted or anything, I would probably just wait and watch and see where everybody goes. And then, I'm going to try to zig when they zag.
Yeah. Look for all
if
the
that makes sense. Yeah, but if you've scouted an area before and you have a good idea of a good thick bedding area somewhere that's tucked away, it might be smart to get in there before daylight on that first day and get in a good setup and wait for those deer to get pushed in there.
Okay.
And what I would do in a rifle hunting scenario is everybody's going to go where they can shoot a long way. I mean, because they got a rifle in their hands. So they're going to go, if they're in big wood scenario, they're going to go out on these points of these ridges where they can see down both sides, get up high in a tree where they can see 400 yards because they've got the gun. They're like, well, this is my chance. This is my equalizer. I can reach out now.
Yeah.
But if you're hunting for a big buck, they're probably not going to be in them areas very often. They're going to be in that high stem count stuff during the day, at least, where, you got to get in there and you may only have a 30-yard shot if one comes through, but
I see 20, 30 yards and, kill them. But it's
open sights, man, like you said. Open sights in a rifle state, open sights with like a 45-70 or a shotgun slug.
That's what I'm shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know like all the laws and stuff because like PA, you can shoot whatever you want. And then my wife's family's from Indiana, and we're meeting up with a bunch of them to hunt. And I was like, yeah, so I can bring the old 243, right? And they're like, no, not on public. On private, you can. You can shoot whatever you want on private. And he's like, but you're gonna have to shoot shotgun. So I'm shooting the old 20 gauge with slugs. But thankfully the barrel has some rifling in it, so I'll be able to get that special slug they have for rifling and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that'll make that a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can shoot.
Those are just some general ideas. I mean, you could still end up shooting a real big one in one of them spots where you can shoot a long ways.
Yeah,
it's hard to say exactly, but that's what I would lean more towards. Like, I mean, you're talking about Missouri. I know guys that go out on public every year in Missouri during the rodeo of rifle season on opening weekend. And some of the guys that are most successful on private and public land, they don't have a scope on their gun. They shoot open sights. They shoot 30-30s and 45-70s, and they get in them thick, nasty cedar thickets to where they can shoot underneath the cedars, and they sit on the ground, and they can't see 50 yards, but they end up killing big ones every year because they get pushed in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where all the other guys on the outside are shooting a 243 or 270 with a scope, and they're trying to shoot 400 yards, but those big bucks they're not fooling with that open stuff. They're going into the security cover.
Yeah. Last last year
Jeremiah.
I'd set up on the top of a ridge, just like you're saying, pinpoint, trying to see all I could see, and sat there for a little while. Saw some does further off, whatnot. It was about mid morning. I was tired, whatnot, so I was like, well, I'm gonna get up, go back to the house. And I turn around and I'm walking back up this ridge, just logging, and they logged it a few years ago, this ridge. And so there's treetops and thicket kind of, grown up. Sunshine's got down in there a little bit. And I'm sure he was bedded up, and I probably walked right by him earlier. And a buck, he just, boom. I'm like, man, I've been sitting here for 30, 40 minutes because I got out of my stand and I've been hunting there most of the morning, moved just to a different spot for a little while. But went down there a little, maybe an hour. And then it's like, where'd you come from? But I'm sure he popped up out of a brush pile. He was there the whole time, just staying quiet. But
They got different
he ended
strategies
up
for
not getting him,
surviving.
but yeah,
Once
he's
they
just
get to a
surviving
certain
for sure.
age, they got different strategies than the rest of the deer. I mean, there's a clip of footage that's nuts from Iowa gun season, because Iowa, where you can party hunt, it is an absolute rodeo during shotgun season, because you can party hunt. So you could have 4 buck tags in your party, but if everybody in the party's got a doe tag, then one of your buddies with a doe tag could shoot a buck. As long as he's in your party, you can tag it for him. It just opens the door to big groups of guys going out. So anyway, the guys were out filming one day and hunting, obviously, and they had a bunch of other hunters pushing deer towards them, and they were waiting on like this big group of deer to come out of the cedar thicket. They came out of the cedar thicket, all these deer did, and they're all running, and they're filming like 30 deer go across this hillside, and all does and young bucks for the most part. And they're going through there and they're getting this footage, and then they came back to the house and they're like, yeah, we saw a bunch of deer, we didn't see any good bucks. And we got to looking at that footage. There's a huge buck standing right in the middle of all those deer, and he never moved.
Oh man.
And you can just see him standing there watching and looking, and he never ran off. And those guys never saw him because he was just standing there not moving. He was just looking around. He got pushed out of the same bedding area, but he wasn't running like crazy like the other deer with his tail up and all that. He's got a different strategy than the rest of the deer do.
Yeah.
So like your brush pile story, man, we see that all the time with the big ones.
Yeah. Well, like the one of the nicer bucks I've got on camera right now on our farm, my cousin, they've got some cattle and stuff on the fields and stuff. And in one part of the farm we call the North Slope, it's all growed up. We leave it growed up. Some years the deer use it, some years the deer don't for bedding. But he said he was going around checking cows in that middle of the afternoon, I think Sunday or something. And he said all I could see was tines. And he goes, and I was 10 yards from the pickup. Now I know it's summertime. It's not, he's not quite, the pressure's not on. He's like, I was 10 yards from the buck. He goes, I come by an hour later just to see if he was still there. He goes, buck was still bedded there. Never moved. He goes, I drove off. And then later that night, a couple 100 yards away, I got pictures of him. But he's just hanging out. He didn't want to move. So that was kind of, I thought that was kind of interesting. He was hunkering down.
That's wild. It's crazy what they do.
For sure.
So I'm going to transition a little bit from talking deer and stuff, but talking more on the social media YouTube side. One thing that I'm like trying to do is like how to keep them captivated, because like just the last 2 years I played with the YouTube, like you guys said, you uploaded stuff and just see if things happen. But this past year I've been trying to hit it hard with I had a good turkey season. I never killed a turkey ever. And I went with a buddy of mine. He called for me, and it came in right at 15 yards, and I took it. And but it was the way we edited it was trying to tell like a story, just kind of like how it just came to be. And so, how do you keep your followers, like suggestions on keeping your followers engaged? Like, I don't want them to get bored of just I'm here in the stand. It's 6 o'clock. We haven't seen anything yet. That's not like everybody says that. Like okay,
right.
Next video. But like, what's something like unique that you guys have learned that has worked for you guys that's helped keep your followers engaged?
Um, I don't know. I like to try to think of it like every video, are you creating value for your viewers? So, like, are you giving them something tangible that they can take away from it and that will either help them or inspire them in the field? So like that's the way I'm thinking about each video that we put out there. Is there a mistake in this hunt that we made that we could tell people about that would help them,
Like a
you
learning
know?
experience.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Any way to create value for the viewers that are watching is good.
So if I like messed up, like went to a stand with the wrong wind and I didn't like check the wind, that's something that I could talk about in the video and be like, I should have gone here, but I just decided to go here anyway, and the wind screwed me up. Make sure you're always checking your wind and stuff like just different tips and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. But that's just one way of doing it. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it. You could just produce videos in a different way than what everybody else is doing. Like that's what Heartland Bowhunter started doing years and years ago when they first started out. They popped on probably about 07-ish, 08, I think. And they just took a different spin on it. Like they were going for a high-end video production, the best quality footage possible. Really taking that storytelling to the next level as far as hunting videos went. And they did really good with that for a long time. So just kind of depends. Everybody has seen so many hunts at this point, that
Yeah.
if it's not something unique or different or of value to them, then it just sort of blends in with the rest of them that are out there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to learn to tell the story aspect of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to just throw up a video of sitting in a tree watching a squirrel, and then a deer shows up and stuff like that. So I'm trying to learn how to explain the story and keep them engaged in the hunt, like just different things that I'm thinking while filming at the same time. So talking a little bit. Um, so that's one thing I'm trying to work on, stuff like that. Have you is your tactics different than when you're sitting in a tree stand? Is your filming strategy different than when you're on the ground hunting?
Kind of, yeah. Um, I don't really know how to best explain it. We're always just trying to capture the moment on whatever's going on. So like if there's nothing happening, we're filming squirrels or leaves blowing in the wind or whatnot. All of that stuff is just sort of commonplace and it gets, I don't know, just sort of muddles into the background for me. But the interesting stuff would be like, okay, we're hunting a feeding tree today. So we found this, persimmon tree way back here in the woods, and it's got fresh fruit on it, and there's a bunch of deer poop underneath it where they've been feeding here. So that's what I would lend the majority of the story to. So like most of the cutaways that we're filming are around that feed tree
Okay,
and what's unique about that.
gotcha.
And then other than that, anytime we try to film as much as we can because we don't want to have to shoot canned interviews or,
Yeah,
scripted stuff. So the only way to avoid doing that is just by keeping the cameras on. And when you walk up on something and you're like, hey, dude, check this out. There's a nice rub over here or something. Then you're rolling the camera when that happens.
it's
And then
not.
you get that, right. You get that authentic interaction between you and your buddy as you're starting to discuss how you're going to go about setting up in here and hunting this spot.
Yeah,
It's not just a stare at the camera interview like, oh, today we're on this ridge, doing
yeah.
this.
Getting walking to the stand and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying? Just walking,
Yeah, but
or even just walking
not
in the woods?
necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily just the footage itself of walking in. That's important to tell the story of the hunt, yes, but we're more focused on getting the footage and the audio of the interaction that you guys have together when you're out there. Like if there's two people together.
Yeah.
And if there's just one of us, then we try to focus on the strategy more than anything,
Okay. Yeah,
just to create value for people.
I'm trying to ask a lot of these because this is Jeremiah's first year of filming himself. So just trying to get him tidbits and things to think about when you're filming. Because when I was in high school, I just loved videoing everything when I was hunting, and so like we would me and my brother would go out and he would film me while I hunted and stuff like that, and I'd put it together on my cheap laptop and make DVDs, and it was like 2 hours long because they'd go out archery into rifle, and we'd give them to our grandparents and parents for like Christmas and stuff like that. And so I've been on camera, and like I know like the interviews, and I grew up watching Primos, so I know all their like talking thing and interviews and stuff like that. So I'm trying to learn to be my own person and not like, not go in there and be like, okay, I'm the new hunting public. This is how you do it, and like say the same stuff everybody else says and just be my own person. So I'm trying to learn to be creative like that. So
That's good. That'll help you a lot. And it's hard. It's hard to do. I mean, because you're influenced by a lot of the people that you watch. I was the same way growing up. I mean, I had $80 Roxio Easy Media Creator software on my old man's work computer. I bought that, and I was making DVDs of our old turkey hunts and walking around the NWTF show handing them to people. Like, people probably threw them in the garbage after it was over with. I'm sure hardly anybody actually watched them, but yeah, that's the big thing though that we found is just be yourself. Everybody's unique in some way and has something unique to offer, other folks that are, intrigued by hunting.
yeah,
We can certainly learn something from each person. It's like, where you guys are at up in PA, I don't hunt up there very often, so I'm super interested about, all of the intricate details of those big woods up there in those different public areas and all that. Because I'm slightly familiar with it. I'm familiar with it just enough to
right.
like
Y'all were here
know
what,
how to.
2020, right?
What's that?
You guys were up here in 2020 with the public land challenge, right?
Yeah, we were. And then I've turkey hunted up there numerous times.
It's good turkey
So I'm
hunting up
just, oh yeah, definitely. And to be honest, it was pretty good deer hunting that we found. I mean, it was a lot better than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But
Were y'all like,
it was
you don't have to
surprising.
give like the location, but were you like upstate PA or like in the middle or?
We started in the middle, but honestly, we kind of just bounced around wherever.
Okay.
I mean, there was times when we were driving 2.5 hours from camp.
Yeah.
So because
That's
there's so
not
much
hard to
public
do.
land, yeah, there's so many different places to go and to check out. We just
Yeah.
were bouncing around all over.
And the layout here is so different. Like I grew up on the Lancaster side, like the Amish countryside, and it's all farmland and rolling hills, and like that's what I grew up on. Like all my stands were like cornfield, like edges of the cornfields, the corners and stuff like that, fence rows. And I had good success, somewhat. And then me and my wife, we moved more towards like State College, Pittsburgh area, and it was a total switch for me because there's like giant mountains, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here because I'm used to having all that food, corn, soybeans, and you just knew to sit right by the corn. And now I'm like, okay, limited food source. Now I gotta look for acorns. I'm like, what does even an acorn tree look like? And so I was very I felt like it's very entertaining if anybody watched me scouting this summer because I'm like out there and I got like a tree app on my phone. I'm like, okay, what is this tree? Okay,
Yep.
just trying to learn everything. And
That's part of that, dude. That's why I love doing it. It's not even like everybody gets so worried and obsessed about the kill and the size of the buck and all that. But anymore, I just love that process of figuring things out, like just learning new things. That's why I love hunting new areas, instead of areas that we've already previously hunted. Just because anytime you go into a new area, now you're challenging your mind to solve all these questions,
right,
to learn all these things, like what you're doing walking around. I've been in that. It's the same situation, dude, like bunch of times.
yeah,
That's how we were up in Nebraska. Like, I love turkey hunting, doing all that, turkey hunting all my life. I feel like I'm a pretty good turkey hunter, but man, we figured out real quick turkeys in Missouri and turkeys in Nebraska are two totally different animals. And we're like, all right, we just got to scratch your brain from everything we know about turkey hunting and start learning something new. And once we figured that out, then we were able, be successful, but we still had to work really hard at it. But we're like, man, because in Missouri, like, okay, the turkey's going to fall. He follows the ridge. He follows the easy path. We were following turkeys up hills like this. And it's like, why? When you could have went, 100 yards around and easy walking. And so, yeah, that was a big challenge for us trying to figure it out. It definitely makes you a better hunter and trying to figure things out. And that was pretty cool, hunting a new place, new area, trying to figure that out. But still blew my mind a little bit. Everywhere's a little different.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Every place has got its unique little intricacies about it. That's the fun part.
Yep.
Yes, and aggravating, but
Oh yeah,
once you
definitely.
figure it out, then you're like, man, we did it, and it's so much
Yep.
more rewarding. Then I mean, we were turkey hunting, we killed some gobblers, we killed all gobblers, but it had just been a jake. I know I'm all for shooting jakes. If I'm gonna work hard for it and make it happen, it happens. I'm just excited about it, as
Sure.
anything else. So, yeah, pretty fun.
Heck yeah.
Jeremiah, do you have any other questions for Warb?
Oh, don't put me on the spot. I'm trying to think here.
I could sit here for hours and just pick your
Oh,
brain,
yeah, I
Warb,
know.
but I know you're busy and you got 2 active boys.
Oh yeah, we've been fishing all week, man. It was I mean, you know how it's been here in Missouri. Holy crap.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
been
last
an
week was
oven.
horrible.
All week we just been waiting until like the last 30 minutes of the day to go fish. And we still been
Yeah.
sweating our butts off, but
Yeah.
Must
every
be
day
terrible.
we're fishing.
It was
Well,
a blip.
I'll just ask you this. Roughly what part of Missouri are you from?
I'm from up in northeast Missouri around Paris.
Okay.
Little bitty town.
Yeah.
That's where
I know
I
where
grew
Paris
up, where my whole family's from is Paris and Santa Fe, Missouri, and
I see.
Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
I
idea what
gotcha.
any of that is, but cool.
They're small towns, man. They're small.
Yeah.
Paris
We got 'em
Paris
too.
America is what we call it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. I'm about 45 minutes to an hour, something like that, from Cape Girardeau, along
Sure.
the river. That's kind of roughly where I'm. I'm just west of that, so kind of
Yep.
where I'm at. Yep. I got you.
Warb, we appreciate the time coming on here and letting us pick your brain for a little bit. And I know you're going to be pretty busy here pretty soon. And just wanted to congratulate you on with everything with the hunting public and just how you've helped a lot of us. Just like you said, the typical hunting public. So just thanks for all you guys do, and just hope you guys have a good season.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate y'all having me on. Hopefully you guys have a good season too.
Hopefully.
Hopefully so. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Let me know. Keep me posted on how you do.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the last part of this conversation with Warb. Me and Jeremiah really enjoyed having the conversation with him. We both learned tons of stuff from Warb, and go follow their videos at the Hunting Public on YouTube. Check them out on Instagram as well. If you haven't followed us before, follow us, hit the like button, share with your friends. Go check us out on Instagram and see our live updates of us hunting and stuff like that. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed.